Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Sarah Chaffee. I'm from the Girl Scouts of the Green and White Mountains. I work at the council. I am based in Concord, New Hampshire. I am now going to jump right into the cheese making, and then I'm going to start asking a couple of questions. I'm using a gallon of milk. Okay.
Is it full fat milk?
It's full fat milk. It should be whole milk. And you want to make sure that it's pasteurized for safety, but make sure that it's not ultra pasteurized. So I put that right into my heavy bottomed pan. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of salt. And then I like to use bottled water because it doesn't introduce any chemicals, especially if you're in a city like I am where they add a lot of ingredients to make the water safe for you. So a quarter cup of water, pour that into my little dish here. And then a teaspoon of citric acid. Okay, I'm just giving that a little stir, and then I'm putting that right into the milk. Turning the stove on. And you want to keep it on a low heat. So that it doesn't scald the milk. And we're going to heat that up to between 185 and 195 degrees. And you want to keep stirring it, mostly because you want to move the heat through. So you're heating up the milk and you want to move it around and get a nice even heat. Now this is the boring part. Now I'm going to talk to you because this takes a while to,
Where do you get this snack?
And it takes a while to heat it up to the right temperature, but the citric acid, it's already, you can see a little bit of it clotting on the spoon. So citric acid, you can either get that at in the grocery store, in the spice aisle or the cooking aisle. It's something that's used frequently for canning, or you can get it at the hardware store in the canning section. They will probably still have some.
Sarah, what was the temperature again?
We want to heat this up to between 185 and 195. My mother is on this call and she's going to laugh about this. I just bought myself a new gauge. You can see the difference. I was making cheese with her. I was making mozzarella with her the other day, and the numbers are so small on this one that you can't read. So I bought a bigger one. You can see how big the head is. But I also discovered that my old gauge was not accurate. And so I've been practicing making ricotta for the last couple of weeks, and I was not being successful. And I finally discovered that it was not measuring heat down at the bottom. It was only measuring up at the top. So you want to make sure your tools are good. Woo!
Heat is everything.
It's already starting to curdle a little bit. It's just you start seeing a little bit of like a texture. I was reading through some of the traditional manuals on making ricotta, and the word ricotta means reheated. So really, you're using the byproduct of making cheese. When you make traditional ricotta, you would use the whey, and you'd add a little bit more milk and reheat it to get the ricotta. Now, I'm just going to do a quick measure just to see where we're at, just so I know about how long I can expect it's going to take to heat this up. Okay, I'm up to about room temperature. I'm at about 70 degrees right now. Some people like to add a little cream to the milk at this point if you wanted something slightly richer. I'm going to show you my secret for adding cream to ricotta. I like to add it at the end. It makes sort of a lighter, a moister and richer ricotta. So where are you all from? I've got this chat box open. Just tell me where you're from so I can see where all the participants are joining from. Nashua. Oh, I've got somebody else from Concord. Windham, Hampton, Nashua. Okay, we've got a lot of people from southern New Hampshire. And I know Allison is from Jaffrey. Yep, Allison just put in Jaffrey. And I know my mother's from Goffstown. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about why I like making cheese. It was just always, it was one of those silly dreams I had. I was so fascinated with the process of making cheese that I wanted to learn how to do it. And the alum organization actually asked to have a cheese making opportunity. So I set one up. It took place at a brewery place out in Hampton, New Hampshire, but I was the only person who showed up. And I learned how to make mozzarella cheese, and it was so much fun. I've done it a number of times. I do it with friends, do it with my mom, and if I'm having a dinner party, for me it's a treat to make fresh mozzarella and serve that as an appetizer. Okay, I'm gonna just check again, see where I'm at. Okay, we're only up to 80 degrees. I'm going to put it up ever so slightly. Once again, you want to be careful when you're raising the heat of the milk. You want to get it to the right temperature. It allows the milk solids, which is what cheese is made from, to separate from the whey, which is all the liquid in the milk. And at the right temperature, that will happen. If it's too high, it will just totally wreck the texture. The cheese will just all go to pot. It won't work. So I'm going to bring the spoon over here. Can you see like there's starting to be curds that are forming on the spoon? Ooh. And I hit the gas burner and turned it up to high. Oops. Okay, it's starting to happen faster.
Sarah, are you using a wooden spoon, and does it make a difference?
I am using a wooden spoon, and the original recipe that I took this from said use a wooden spoon. I don't think it matters. One of the reasons I use a wooden spoon is when I'm recording, metal spoons make a lot of noise. When we get to the next step, I am actually, one of my favorite tools and that's metal. And you can use a slotted spoon for pulling the curds out, but I love this big perforated ladle. I actually got that at a cheese making supply house, the brewery out in Hampton. The nice thing about the ricotta is it doesn't take any special equipment, and it's made out of items that you can find in your grocery store. You can even use vinegar or lemon instead of the citric acid. One of the benefits of using the citric acid is that it's more consistent. Lemons can vary in acidity. So it would be the sort of thing that as you're making the cheese, if you're finding that it's not curdling, you'd have to add more lemon or a little more vinegar. With all of the experiments I've been doing recently, I found that I got the most consistent results with the citric acid. But as I was telling Debbie Drake about making the mozzarella, it's a gallon of milk. It's not a big deal. You can just throw it away. I know that the whey is very good for your garden if you're a gardener, but fair warning, milk stinks. And if you put it out in the warm weather, my husband actually asked me, he said, it smells like something vomited out there. And that's exactly what it smells like. It's pretty terrible. Okay, I'm gonna see where we're at now with my new thermometer with the nice big numbers that I can see. Okay, up to 100.
Sarah, I'm curious, your instructions said to use a half a gallon of pasteurized whole milk. Did you use a half a gallon or a whole gallon? Just confirming.
I misled you. What I did is the directions actually call for a gallon, but I split it up in two. I did a half a gallon earlier, but all the proportions I gave you, I thought I was just going to do a half a gallon, but I thought, oh, I'll just give you the directions for the whole. I'm sorry. So the directions are 1 gallon of milk, teaspoon of citric acid in a 1/4 cup of cool water, and a teaspoon of salt. If you want to make half of that, obviously just cut everything in half. One of the reasons you might want to do that is ricotta does not have a long shelf life. You want to make it and probably use it in 2 to 3 days. When I made it earlier this week when I was practicing, because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be successful with you, I immediately made some stuffed shells, and I had some. My husband liked them very much, and I had a little bit of leftover. So I just took the mixture when you make stuffed shells or lasagna. I don't know about you, but there's an egg in there, mozzarella, Parmesan, and I just threw it into an omelet for breakfast the next morning. It was delicious. You could probably put it on top of toast and run it under a broiler. One of the things when you're making fresh ricotta, they all say it's the most delicious when it's like still fresh and warm, and put it on a piece of toast, drizzle some honey on it. Best breakfast ever. Okay. Okay, I'm up to 120. So do we have any Italian chefs in this group? No. Did anybody watch the pesto recipes on Friday night? With, oh, go back. You'll be able to see them on the volunteer enrichment series schedule. We're posting all of these videos online, so you can always review them later or share them. Or if you're going to bring these back to your Girl Scout troops, you can use them as a resource. Oh, Janet says that she did the cooking with pesto. I can't. It was all Italian. I love everything Italian, so I wanted to watch that. The peach and chicken and pesto salad looked delicious. I wanted to make that. Oh, I see somebody was trying to join, but I must have missed them. If Abby wants to join, tell her to sign in again. I'll keep an eye on it. So one of the staff members at council, her mother is Italian, and she taught the pesto making class. If you've never made pesto, it's so easy and it's so delicious, and it gives you a reason to grow basil.
Which is easy to grow.
Okay. I told you the cheese making, it's not very interesting to watch. If I were truly Julia Child, I would have had several pots going with the at different stages, so you wouldn't have to wait for it. Okay, I'm getting there. I'm up to 140. So another reason I thought that maybe my thermometer wasn't great, I have done a couple of mozzarella making demos online, and the texture just was not coming out right. It was all sort of feathery instead of really silky and shiny the way you expect mozzarella to work. So it makes sense that my temperature was off. I probably was heating the milk a little bit too much. If you don't have the thermometer, what they say is once it starts steaming and you start getting bubbles around the outside of the pot, Spruce. I was going to ask if anybody, I had a question in the chat if anybody was making it along with me. It's better. Deb Drake says it's better to see the process real time. So we're about 20 minutes into it, and I'm not. I was just gonna turn it up a little, but I'm afraid I've got the heat up pretty high. So I don't know about you, but I have I just got a gas stove. I love gas stoves. It's so much easier to know what the temperature is. For me, it's very visual. I look at it and I know if it's low or high. Brandy says she didn't have time to get her act together to be able to make it at the same time. Okay, I'm at 160. Just going to show you what I've got going on the top here. You can starting to see, can you see the curds in the spoon? So if there's anybody else out there that loves Italian cooking, if you're on Instagram, I recommend Kitchen Quarantine. He was voted the best chef in the world like 2 or 3 years ago. Massimo something or other. He has a small restaurant in Italy. But he has great recipes and they're so easy. There's nothing fussy about them and it's all ingredients you have on hand for the most part. As long as you're big into eating spinach. Okay.
Which is your husband.
I have a quick question. If you're going to use lemon juice or vinegar, would you still use the 1 teaspoon?
No, with the vinegar, it's about 1/4 of a cup. And with lemon juice, it's going to be about 3 tablespoons. So it's definitely a lot more. And with both of those ingredients, definitely prepare yourself to watch it and add more if need be. And that's the sort of thing you don't know what you don't know until you've done it.
Thank you.
Full milk is different everywhere you go.
Sarah, did you find that using the vinegar or lemon changed the taste much?
This is the thing. I don't have a very good sense of smell or taste, but what I read is that if you're using it for a dessert, that they probably recommend the lemon. I do notice when I use cream though, that definitely makes it taste better. The mouthfeel is fabulous. Okay, I'm getting very close here. I want to make sure I bring up all the
I wonder how it would be with flavored vinegars.
I wonder too.
Hmm.
That would definitely be something to try, Deb.
Yeah.
But I think, ricotta is such a mild cheese that I wonder, maybe it's better to add the flavor after. Okay, I'm getting very, I just want to make sure I don't get it. Burn it. Ouch. All done touching that. Mm. Okay, I'm gonna call it. cover it and let it sit for 10 minutes. What I'm going to do, because now we have 10 minutes of sitting around and waiting for it to curdle, I'm going to show you the final result. So
Sarah, did you turn off?
yes, I'm sorry, I did. I turned off the heat. So turn off the heat completely and cover it and don't touch it for 10 minutes. So what I have here, can you see it? The ricotta, it's sort of hard, white on white. And it's gone through the cheesecloth. I'm going to show you that process next. But now I'm going to, you can see that the cheesecloth, it comes out pretty clean. It just plops right out. It stays, it almost hardens into like a little pancake of cheese. So there, I've got my little bowl of ricotta. You can see it's a little crumbly. I've been letting this drain for over an hour. So it's quite dry and a little crumbly. You can see it's like, do that and taste it. It's delicious. If you want a moisture ricotta, you just stop draining it after like 10, 20 minutes. To really make the ricotta stupendous, so for a gallon of, if you were making the full gallon, I would say add 2 to 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. So for this, I'm just going to add in like about a tablespoon. And I'm just kind of stirring it in.
So is that amount the gallon of milk?
Yes, I'm gonna put in a little more. I wanted a little moisture.
So,
Yeah, it is.
Did you
so
have?
that's what 1 gallon of milk makes. What's in that bowl?
This is a half a gallon.
Thank you.
Because remember, I did the half before, and it was actually a little less than half, and then I'm doing the rest over there. Okay, so now you can see it's really it's quite light and crumbly, and so I always say, let me make sure it's not poison.
How many shells
Mm,
in a half gallon?
that is so good.
How many shells in a half gallon?
Okay, we've got 6 more minutes here. So, oh, you sanitize that wooden spoon. I send my wooden spoons through the dishwasher. I am a big, I love wooden spoons, but I know that they're not the best to use with certain foods. And I do send them through the dishwasher. After a while, they start getting a little furry, and I just throw them out and I get more. But I'm just a fan of wooden spoons. So. Oh, and that was from my mom, who used to do food preparation for an institution. Of course. You can also, this does not call for sanitizing all the equipment the way the mozzarella does. That's a little bit more finicky and more of a process to create mozzarella cheese. But what I use for, you see, I've got a big bottle. For sanitizing, I use Star San, which is an organic sanitizer, and I'll show you the package. I keep it in my fridge. Star San. And you use a 1/4 teaspoon to a gallon of water. So I clearly have a lifetime supply here. And the difference between a sanitizer and a cleaner is when you spray it on. So when I'm making mozzarella, I spray it on all the surfaces, all my pots and pans, my measuring spoons, every little cup I use, all my tools, my hands. You leave it on. A sanitizer you leave on and allow to dry. Because it's organic, it doesn't have to be perfectly dry. This, I wouldn't want to drink it, but it won't harm you in any way. This is a really good sanitizer for all surfaces, and it's an acid-based. So it is organic.
And how long can it stay in the spray bottle? Because I still have some from when I made mozzarella.
I just keep mine. I don't honestly know how long it's good
You
for,
keep using
Deb.
it, right?
I use it for a lot of things.
Okay.
And it's cheap enough. As I said, that's a lifetime supply.
True. You're right.
Just throw it away and make some more if you feel like
You're right.
it's too long. It's like the gallon of milk. It's like
Exactly. And
if
that's
you
what
mess
got
up
me
on
over
your
my fear.
mozzarella, you throw it away.
Yep. You're right.
Start again. Okay, I'm going to resist opening up the pan and looking at it. We've got 3 more minutes.
Where did you buy the Star San? Where did you get
I
that?
bought that at the brewery / cheese supply company in Hampton. And now I'm going to I should recall it. He was such a great guy. He was so good about answering all my questions. I mean, even after the fact when I was calling him up. I know that Gail Clanchester knows him well. He's in the same.
Barn? Was it called the barn or something?
What, Deb?
Was it the barn?
No, it wasn't. Was it the brewery barn?
Talk about it was a beer pub.
Yeah. So it was a brewery / cheese and wine supply place, but he taught classes, and that's where I learned how to make mozzarella. And he sold the Star San, but I'm pretty sure you'd be able to find it at any, like a restaurant supply, because I'm going to guess that it's a typical sanitizer used in restaurant supplies.
I think I got mine on Amazon.
You got yours on Amazon. There you go. Debbie is obviously far more modern than I am. I don't order online very often. Okay. 1.5 minutes to go.
It's called the Homebrew Barn.
Thank you. Oh, you want to know something, Brandy? Directions. This was my intro to cheese making class, my folder. After I failed with all the different ricotta recipes I read, I finally went back and I used his and I was successful. Okay, 1 more minute.
So could we request that you add your video from the mozzarella making to the list of videos available from the volunteer?
We can maybe do that, but Sue, I believe it's on the Alum Association, the group.
Okay.
You can
Yeah,
go
that's
back.
how I found it. I went back and watched it.
But we could add it. I think it would be so much fun to do with your troops, and I know you are a troop leader, because there is so much science to cheese making and cooking in general. And I mean, I can speak to my own inspirations. As a young girl, I could not get enough of Julia Child and Graham Kerr. I loved cooking, but I love transforming an ingredient into something completely different. So the things that appeal to me are baking and cheese making. I'm the world's worst meat cooker. I just don't do meat. It doesn't interest me. I'm terrible. Okay, that was my alarm. Now what you're going to, you want a slotted spoon. This is my fabulous big flat sieve. You want a colander and with cheesecloth in it to line it. So you want a couple of layers of that. I'm going to give you a pro tip on cheesecloth. If you wash it, don't put it in the dryer. It shrinks a lot. Okay, and what I'm going to put, I've got it in a bowl here so all of the whey doesn't drip down. Okay, please. Oh. And you can see it's quite soupy. Actually, I'm going to say I did not get a great yield from this. And I don't know why. I'm just dumping out the whey. So I didn't get a super good yield on this, but you can see all of the ricotta in there. And I'm going to guess that I might not have put quite enough citric acid in there to cause that the milk solids to precipitate out and coagulate. You're really, as somebody once described cheese making, it's controlled rot, because you're really, I mean, it's just food going bad. So you're curdling milk. So when you do that, you've got it in here. Now you're just going to let that sit for anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour. You don't want to squeeze it. It's very tempting. I want to show you, I mean, how thick. If you can see, as I roll it up, it just kind of rolls off. It's got a pretty firm texture already. And that's it. That's ricotta.
So let it sit for 20 minutes to drain?
20 minutes to an hour, just depending on what texture you want. So are there any other questions? So that is it. I am happy to take questions offline. If you want to contact me at the council, it's schaffee@girlscoutsgwm.org. I'm there all the time. And I really am happy to answer questions, but I also encourage you to go out and do this, try it. It's a lot of fun, and you can experiment. There's a lot of recipes out there for ricotta. This is obviously just the one that I had and I choose to use.
Sarah, what would you do with the rest of the liquid that's in your pot?
Oh, the whey, that's called whey, the leftover. There's a lot of uses for it. As I said, it's good for your garden. It's got a lot of good protein in it. You can give it to your dog or cat in small amounts, but it will give them diarrhea if you give them too much. You can drink it yourself. So if you think about like whey protein, a lot of bodybuilders will drink it because it is very high in protein. You can use it, you can store it in your freezer, use it for soups, you can use it for bread making. There's a million uses for whey. You'll probably have so much of it that you won't know what to do with it if you start really getting into cheese making. If you have any neighbors who have pigs, the pigs would love it. Or any other farm animal.
Welcome to New Hampshire.
Sarah,
Yes.
how long do you keep this cheese? How long is,
The ricotta, as I said earlier, it's got a very short shelf life. So you want to use it within 3 days, which is another reason to make small amounts. Only make what you can use because it will go bad quickly.
yeah, I think if it goes bad, I think it's very bad for you.
I bet it is.
Yeah, well, you know, like sick.
Yes.
So how much would you estimate that made? Now that one,
I want to say I got about a cup and a half, maybe 2 cups. But when I made like this small amount the other night, I was kind of surprised. I made stuffed shells and I didn't make a lot. I only made 10 jumbo stuffed shells. But by the time you throw in mozzarella and Parmesan and egg and whatever else you're going to put in there, I had some left over. I was sort of surprised. So it goes a lot farther than you might think. And you could always, I mean, if you felt like you didn't have enough, if you were doing lasagna or stuffed shells, to throw in spinach or scrambled meat to make it go a little bit further.
Put it in an omelet.
Yep. Yep. That's great. Okay, everybody, thank you for coming to watch me. I hope you make ricotta. Okay, take care and good night.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
Good job.